this, I will go to my presentation. I will try to do my screen share. Yeah, please let me know when the presentation is on.
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Fine. So here is in front of you the picture of a building on the right, which was erected on the premises of Sector 10A Washi in the 1973. This is the first working women's hostel in Navi Mumbai in that area during that time. And still today, it raises its value and its security and safety to the extent that throughout the COVID times, we have been able to keep it functional. Yes, the number of footfalls went down surely because many people had to move out of the city. And again, we are having our hostelers coming back. So this is the institution which speaks volume for the working women who are coming into the city, and this is the haven where they acclimatize themselves before they make room for the other incoming deluge of working women, and we want that it goes on for a longer time. On the left is the glimpse of what we call the Learning Garden Living Museum, again hosted on the same premises. This biodiversity park, if I may call it confidently, is actually a museum which we again want to be the first ones in the Navi Mumbai area to say that we have a planned garden which can give you a learning to all age groups, can be a visit and a solace to the education which a garden provides. So I'll go in for these things in the later slides since you have given me ample time, but I will not come in between the speaker. I will move on to say what Dr. Nilesh pointed out, that all this thought process was the vision of 12 eminent women scientists, and here are their pictures. Two of them, Dr. Sudha Padhi and Dr. Lalit Narurkar, we have amongst ourselves, and it's a privilege to turn and look up to them for every little understanding and learning which we all are continuously doing as we serve our voluntary services for this organization, which we all call our second home. And indeed, it is so, because each of us, after our professional careers, and some of them still in their working years, are all coming together to make this organization's mandates, which you see on the right, most successful and fulfilling. We have 11 branches over these 49 years. The latest one was formed 6 years ago at Nellore. We have branches as far as Roorkee, Delhi, to Nagpur, Nellore, down south Bangalore, Amravati. So, talking about the branches, we are in continuous collaborative work with them, and they have their own programs continuously being exchanged, the views being exchanged with the headquarters, and this network gives us a large amount of scope to do science for the masses at various regions of this country. We being an NGO, we have a community welfare set of activities, and we have our primary mandate of taking science to the masses as the activities. Under the community welfare activities, you saw the Working Women's Hostel. We also have a nursery school, which can house 15 to 20 students from the neighborhood areas. And many of these children have graduated from our daycare center on the right. So daycare center and nursery school complements to the working women who are in our neighborhood. And both of these centers are very well known, and parents during this COVID time, when we are unable to keep them operational, are actually waiting that when will the children again come back to this beautiful garden-based daycare center where they have happy children playing and learning throughout the day when they are at work. We had thought about computer center 30 years ago from now, and it speaks about the vision of the founders. I just checked that in 1981, the IBM had introduced their personal computers. And well, we had the center up and going by the very able hands of scientists who were into computer sciences during those times. And one of them is our senior most Dr. Sunita Mahajan, who is still guiding us into the computer activities. We have a healthcare center with a nominal charge. We have the dental chair, we have the physiotherapist, we have gynecologists, we have a homeopath. So they all come to do their services in a very minimum charge, and we offer that to the society as much as possible because that is what our mandate says, to do a community welfare. And through this through this healthcare center, we annually also host a cancer screening program which is done with the help of the Tata Memorial Center and another NGO, the Indian Association of Cancer Research. We have a library which is supported by the state, and we have graduated over years to a C class, which is a promotion, and we are currently in the process of digitization of our library books, and we would soon want to, in our Golden Jubilee year, make it into a net-based library and communicate with other institutions like the one as yours, so that the members can access variety of libraries through the internet networking. What do we do for our other community activities? Two of them to mention are the IVSA SNDT Diploma in Early Childhood Care Education, and it is running in its 25th year. Can you imagine an average of 10 to 15 women aged between 18 to 50 with a basic degree of class 10 pass as minimum requirement can do a 1 year course with a diploma in their hand at the end of it, which gives them, empower them to open their own nursery or get job in any other adjoining places. And our success rate of employment has been very good. Last year, again, in the COVID times, we graduated into the online edition of this program. And today we have 27 women who have come on to study ECCE diploma under that. We have the MSCIT Advanced Learning Center, which is operational under the Thane MKCL. And every year we try to meet up the requirement of 10 to 15 students on the MSCIT process. And again, this has become online. So anybody who wants to do it from our center is most welcome to come in and register themselves. We have the IVSA scholarships and awards. And for this, we are always looking for furthering it with more resource, and that if the kitty grows, we can give the kitty back to the society. So currently we give scholarships to children who do very good in their 10th standard, 12th standard, and also during their PhDs. We would like to open it up for travel grants if we get more support. This is a glimpse of what the science education initiatives of IVSA has been on for these many years. And even during the COVID times, we have managed to do one of our science exhibitions with the Washi area schools. We have garden nurture programs. We have several workshops and hands-on camps for the students. And these students can be as young as in the school, middle school and high school, as up to the MSc graduates who come into our computer centers to do computer-based data analysis workshops, which some of us conduct. From the very beginning, we have been very green in our thoughts, very environment friendly in our thoughts, and our initiatives began as early as the 80s. We have the solar heater, water heater for the hostel, and we have recently put up the second phase of Tejomoi, which gives us a 25 kilowatt output for the solar roofs, which we are working upon. Besides this, there are other green initiative programs of biocomposting and others, and the website talks about all that in detail. This is a very tiny glimpse about how colorful our biodiversity park or the living museum looks like in the particular seasons. And not only the particular flowers or the plants, it is the diversity of butterflies, and now we have birds, and we are cataloging all of these through our internship programs and are open to this to digitize all this information and make it available for the community. Our living museum garden has different areas of coastal to grassland to indigenous to very rare species, and it's a good collection which we are trying to build up by every day. Of course, very much affected by the COVID. We have a one-man show who is keeping the plants alive, and all of us working from our homes, trying to bring as much support to the garden. Here now, I will quickly turn upon what we did as a learning of our own during the pandemic times when all of the world, the whole world was confined into their houses, and we are still. So we started some new lecture series because we reach our community through workshops, internships, seminars, and besides the Board of Radiation and Nuclear Sciences supported lectures, we thought this is the ideal time to open newer series. And that is what Science and Our Life became a lecture series which was initiated in 2020. We had a member enrichment program when each member spoke about their favorite subject and discussed it on the scientific basis to others. We had empowerment programs for member wherein we have held computer programs, we have held software, online banking, and etc., inclusive of some of like the Canva usage for PPT. We have recently also started the Wellness, Health, and Happiness series of lectures from our health center side, which you all know that during the COVID times, the mental illnesses have started to build up because of our lonelinesses and our confinements. Humans are meant to be social animals. We are not supposed to be confined in our rooms within ourselves. And wellness is where we are again looking up to see if we can at the community bring in a change. This is only a glimpse of some of the celebrations which we did. And in the center is that this was the second time we had held on June 5th branch and headquartered together big program on ecosystem restoration on the Environment Day. We have been taking internship programs, and there was one candidate who came from the Flame University, and this is that poster. Recently, from the ongoing internship program, we had a mangrove ecosystem restoration program, and the flyer is only indicating towards that. What did we do new in publication side? The early childhood and care education, the ECCE program, who are training teachers for teaching the ADHD children. That program opened up, and we have made publications to help guide other teachers with these. We had shadow teacher training workshops, and we have done these as booklets so that other teachers can learn from consulting these informations. We have started new collaborative programs, and this was with the Vigyan Prasar, New Delhi. And under this program, we have 3 projects which got approved, and one of them was the VP Net Science. And this would network us to all the VP network science clubs in the country. And through our lectures and through our series of publications, we would be able to exchange our learning to the children who are at the grassroots. One of the programs have also been a Each One Teach One program, which is open to students, and a senior student can teach a junior student. And this is the program under the VP Net, which we are nurturing at the moment. Under the teachers program, as I said, we did 6 modules of Section Shetu. The times have changed, the way the teaching has changed, and what do you do to keep up and cope up with this new virtual mode of teaching? So, in the Golden Jubilee years to begin from June coming year, we are all looking forward to bring new changes and walk with new technology forward. So, new training programs also had been initiated this year. And one of them was the skill development program for our own staff who were otherwise sitting at home like all of us. So, with this skill program, we could give them a small opportunity of utilizing their skill through a program of mangrove restoration, wherein we had a very small celebration of taking 4 sturdy saplings of 4 varieties of mangroves, which were tendered under the internship program of Jai Hind. We actually took them to the seashore and have planted them with the help of mangrove marshals of Vashi. And this happened on the World Mangrove Day of 26th July. This is only a glimpse of what is the outcome of 10 projects which just concluded on the 28th of July, and this was done under IVSA and Jai Hind College program. From literature survey projects based on COVID mutation collation to growing your own mushrooms on variety of substrates in your home, to nurturing the mangrove saplings sent to each of the students' individual homes and tendering them and putting them back to the coastline, to doing molecular biology studies by utilizing SnapGene software, to generate methane from your own home biocomposting by biomethanation prototype making. All of these covered our variety of 10 programs. Biofertilizers, another one. And these are all in our website, so anybody interested to further their reading can please consult that. I come to my last one to only say that these are our efforts. We have learned over 48 years. We are running on our 49th. We are bringing in new dimensions. We are collaborating with others who think like us and want to take science forward to the masses through our ways of workshop and trainings. We will continue to bring newer forums with the efforts towards the knowledge sharing, nurturing the future leaders, emphasizing on science-based learning in the community, and promote innovation. Do join us as member is an appeal, and do visit our website to be able to do your bit as we do our bit. And our voice is none other than our quarterly IVSA newsletter, now in the e-form, again available on our website. With this, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to collaborate and again to speak about our institution, which we call our second home. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Yeah, though it is a short introduction about the activities of IWSA, it was quite motivating and encouraging. I I'm sure that our student will definitely take a benefits of different programs and the activities of IWSA. So thank you so much for sharing this information.
Thank you very much.
Ma'am, can you please stop sharing your screen? So yeah, just put on the cross, click on the cross next to mic button. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
Has it gone?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So participants, uh, we often says that today's world is the world of technology, and technology has offered us many benefits. It has given us a huge platform to exhibit our creativity. But protecting your creation in this huge world of www has also become essential now. When we talk about innovation, invention, creation, idea, novelty, discovery, along with these words, few more words will come by default, like copyrights, patents, trademarks, licenses, authorships. I know you all have creative mind and ability to convert your creative thoughts into reality. So this session is for you all. Miss Ankita Mathew is our speaker for today, and the title of the talk is Introduction to IP and the career opportunities in the field of IP.
Thank you, Nilesh, for the introduction, and thank you, Mitibai College and Indian Women's Scientists Association to give me this opportunity to give a brief idea about intellectual property and to take you through some career opportunities in this field. So I'll just start sharing the presentation. Just let me know when you
Yeah,
can
ma'am,
see.
just a minute. Like I know that many of the students are planning to select this IP as a career. So let me just put some light on your journey. So I'll just brief them about your journey and then I'll request you to start.
Sure.
Just to give me 1 minute. Yeah, just give me 1 minute. So we'll just have a quick So, Ms. Ankita Mathur is presently working as a senior brand protection specialist in Navy, which is the image intelligence company. After completing her schooling from Trichy, which is in Tamil Nadu, she has completed BTech in biotechnology from SRM University, and she did the diploma in clinical research, which is a 1 year diploma course from St. Xavier's College, Mumbai, followed by LLB honors in intellectual property laws from IIT uh, Kharagpur. This is a professional journey. So professional journey started as a junior counsel from Intellectus. Then she worked as an associate with Nishit Desai Associates. Uh, and after that, as a research associate in DBT ICT Center for Energy and Biosciences. Then she worked as a senior associate in Tech IP Knowledge Consulting Private Limited. And at present, she is working as a senior brand protection specialist in Navy, the image intelligence company. These are some awards, honors. She has received management awards for IP team at Take IP, and she has received a second position in Contemporalis 2012, the legal writing competition on contemporary legal issues organized by International Journal of Contemporary Laws in collaboration with International Council of Jurists for the paper Impact of Domain Name on the trademark litigation in India. So now I would like to request Ankita ma'am to start with the session. Over to you, ma'am. Sorry to make you wait.
No, sorry. Thank you so much, Nilesh, for giving a brief background of what I have done. So, so that people will understand. Because I have a science background, come a law degree. So that is one of a career option which we would be talking about in today's session. But before we get into what are the career options, I thought it would be really good for you to understand what is IP. So that is something which is really important. So I'll just share my screen. Just let me know. You can see my screen.
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
You can see. Okay. So today we'll be talking a little bit about intellectual property. What are the different kinds of intellectual property which is available or which is there, and a little small aspect about each of that different type. And then I will just touch upon the different career opportunities in this field. So what is intellectual property? So intellectual property is a property that arises from the human intellect. It is a product of human creation. So anything which is created out of your human mind, that will come as intellectual property. It is an intangible asset. What you mean by intangible asset is it's something which you cannot feel it or you cannot measure it. Unlike piece of land. You can measure it. You always say this is a property, and that we call it as a tangible asset. So when it comes to intellectual property, it is an intangible asset, and generally this asset can be assigned, or it can be sold, or it can be licensed. It just acts like a normal different kind of other property, though it's something which is not felt or which is not measured, which cannot be done. But still these assets also can be assigned and licensed. That's why you will see a lot of companies, a lot of universities also investing right now into different kinds of research, making their intellectual property assets strong, to because it is a big asset to a company as well. It helps in commercializing, even getting a type of income when you are assigning or selling as a type of intellectual property. Now, intellectual property generally it can be of two distinct forms. One is the literary and artistic work, and another is the industrial property. So now we will go through what do I mean by literary and artistic work. So before that, we have to just touch upon why do we need to protect your intellectual property. I would love to make this as an interactive session. So Nilesh, is it possible that I can ask and somebody else can unmute and answer?
Now at present we have mute all the participants. I'll just check and I'll let you know.
Okay. Fine, let's go ahead. Why do we need to protect our intellectual property? So why is it important? We have something which is created out of our mind, and is it needed that you need some kind of certain protection, or is it needed that you need to give some kind of a certificate over it, or some kind of an ownership over it? But why do we need that protection? First thing is, it protects against infringement by others. So what will happen if somebody is copying your intellectual property, or somebody is using the same thing? You can always defend it in the court because you are the owner. So for this reason, we have a certain protection over it. We seek for a certain protection over it. So only the owners of the intellectual property have the right to use or make or sell their own property. So if somebody else is doing it, they can always file a complaint against them. So infringement is like a court proceeding, suit proceeding, which will come. So if somebody is infringing your property, that's the term which we use, we can go ahead and take some action, take some kind of a legal action against it, against them. So next, that's a point. You can stop others from using, making, selling, or importing it without your permission. So something which is of your own, if anybody has to use it, they need to take some kind of a permission from you. So generally permission can be in the type of license or some kind of an assignment. That will come onto how do you commercialize. So they have to ask your permission for it. They need to give you some kind of an income in return, and then only they can use it. Otherwise, you can actually stop anybody from making and selling or importing the intellectual property. Also, it helps in setting apart business from your competitors. I'll get into this point a little later, where we deal how does it become very essential in marketing and branding. So branding is something where one of the intellectual property plays a very important role. So it sets apart your business, these intellectual properties. Next is it encourages investment in research, because if there is no form of protection, no investor or no inventors will be able to benefit from their creative efforts. So I have created something. I need that creativity or that creative idea or the process to be protected. Then only I would be encouraged to invest my time, my even the money which the investors are giving. So it kind of helps in encouraging the investment in research. So now let's go to the different kinds of literary and artistic works, which I was talking about, that there are different kinds of intellectual property. The first kind is literary and artistic work. So under literary and artistic work, you will have books, you have musical compositions, you have films, you have dramatics. These are just some examples. There are other kinds of literary and artistic works as well. Now, all together, all of this is protected in India under particular type of intellectual property. So they are protected by the copyright, and it's under the Copyright Act 1957. So we can, whoever is the author of the book can apply for a protection under this act, and they can get a certificate saying that this is their, they own this. It is like a government certificate which is given, which determines the ownership and who is the author, and they also it also protects any other person from copying that book. So this is really good, because a lot of filmmakers and lot of even performance artists, they all have an association formed under this act. There are other two acts also. I will not get into it because it will become too legal, but this is how they get protection. They feel that my own story or my own film will not be copied by anybody else without getting my permission. So generally all these remake of movies which you see, they actually have to first get the permission from the original author. Then only they can actually remake a movie. So it cannot be done just like that, because if it's done like just like that, there would be an infringement, and there can be a legal action against a person who has copied it. So it's generally denoted by the symbol C. So you might see quite often that somebody has created some kind of a blog, any kind of written material. They will just write a symbol C at the bottom to denote that it is copyrighted. Copyright. It doesn't indicate that it is registered under the Copyright Act, but there is a copyright over it. So it is highly advisable. Generally, we incorporate a copyright notice to any kind of a literary material. I've just given an example here. Copyright at the rate 2020 gives you the year at which the protection was done, and generally the company's name or the author's name will be written, to whom the copyright belongs to. So this is about the copyright. Now, just touching brief about the term of copyright. How long does the copyright last once it is registered under the Act? So it generally lasts for about 60 years. 60 years from the death of the author. This is for literary, dramatic, and musical work. Now 60 years from the date of the publication. So that is applicable for films, sound recordings, photograph, or any works of government or international organization, posthumous publication. So if the period is 60 years calculated from the death of the author or from the date of the publication, date of the publication. So this is the term which is generally given for copyright protection. And there are a lot of few exceptions under the Act, where they say that when it will not be called an infringement. So one is fair use. Fair use allows copyrighted work to be used for the purpose of teaching, research, and development. So if you are using it for teaching purpose, it will come under fair use provision. So that people always take, but every time you have to indicate from whom are you taking this, who is the author. So that's why when you're writing maybe your research papers or any kind of an article, you do give your footnotes from where you have taken this, who has given this, unless it is something actually written from your own and from your own mind. You actually give footnotes to from where it is given, so that it is clear you're using it as a part of an inspiration, and it is somebody's else work. And if it's actually copied word to word, you have to write it within a quote and you should not claim like that as if you are the author. So that's the thing about copyright. Now there are a lot of I was telling about the second type of intellectual property, that is the industrial property. So under industrial property, there are different kinds. This is patents, trademarks, industrial designs, trade secrets, and confidential information. There's GI, there's traditional knowledge, layout designs of semiconductor ICs. So I'll just touch upon a few of them to give you an idea what all of them mean. They are all denoting different kind of a property. Patents are different from trademarks, trademarks are different from designs. So we will just briefly touch upon each of this property to give you a brief idea what each of them mean and what role it plays. So trademark, what is a trademark? A trademark can be a symbol, or it can be a logo, or it can be a word, can be even a sound, color, design, or any other device that is used to identify a business or a product in commerce. So that's why I was talking about branding. So a lot of you people register their trademarks so that they come across as a brand, and it is really important because it is from the brand that the consumers who like us, who we identify that particular manufacturer. Now for example, if I see an Adidas product, so you generally associate, okay, this is the Adidas product and Adidas shoes, I want to buy an Adidas shoe. So all these things, these brands like Adidas, Nike, even for restaurants which we go through, McDonald's, so you relate each of the brand to a particular kinds of service. So that when you think about Adidas, you think about shoes, and you think that it will be of certain kind of a quality of product which they produce. So that's how they use trademark in associating each of their brand to the type of service they provide, and it also helps in differentiating with the other competitors. So you know that there is a difference between Adidas and Nike just by listening to the brand and even looking at that brand. So all these kind of type of industrial property is covered under the Trademarks Act 1999, where the applicant, who is the owner of the particular brand, can apply for a protection, and it is valid for a period of 10 years from the date of application, which can be renewed. It can be renewed for another period of 10 years upon a payment of fees. It can be renewed. The renewal period, it is not limited. How it is, if it's like it is limited in patents, it can be done over the years. And you might notice some symbols like this indicates that it is a registered trademark. And this TM indicates that the application is filed for registration. So generally an application is filed with the trademark office, which is a government office who deals with these kind of application. Once you apply, there is an examination process, and after everything is fine, there is it is all set, then there will be a registration certificate which is granted, and once it's registered, you will see an R mark. So maybe next time when you see a trademark, if you see an R symbol near it, you know that it is a registered trademark. So yeah, I was talking about different types of trademark, like the word mark. Nike alone will be a word mark. You can see that registered trademark symbol beside it. So that's what I was talking about. Even symbols. So this swish mark, of the Nike, that's also registered separately. So even if you see this mark, a lot of people associate it with Nike. And even if you're seeing the McDonald's M, which is really distinct with the McDonald, brand. So these are symbol marks, which is also a trademark, or it can be even a tagline, like, just do it, which is used by Nike, or I am loving it, which is used by the McDonald thing. So these are different kinds. There's also trademark which is given to packaging, like the Bonvita packaging. They have a separate trademark on their color and their how it is done. And even Cadbury's, that purple color, they have a trademark which they own. And sound marks, it's not very common, which just one second. Okay, I'm not able to play it now. So sound mark, the Yahoo Yodel, you can just Google it. That was one of the first sound mark which was registered. And it after that, whenever even the Airtel sound, which was the ringtone, it was really associated with the Airtel. If anybody hears it, you know it is the Airtel. Even they have registered that sound mark. So this is just to give you a brief idea what are the different kinds of marks which are registered by different brands, and all the competitors, how they play a very important or they make sure they get all their protection, and they do everything which is needed for protecting their trademark. Next set of industrial property is the industrial design. So industrial design generally is protected under the Designs Act 2000. So it actually, to give you a brief, anything which is ornamental, just looking at it, that shape or that surface pattern or that lines, it makes that particular article very attractive and appealing. It doesn't provide any technical features, it's just giving you a very visual effect. So it can be particular type of a bottle shape, very unique, which is not commonly found. So a lot of people might file for a design protection for it. It doesn't provide any technical features, and the total duration for this protection is about 10 years, which can be extended for another 5-year period. And it is little different from patents, which I will take you through as we deal with patents and what are they. Next, I wanted to talk about the industrial geographical indication. So what is just geographical indication? You might have seen a lot in the newspapers. This GI got registered. Tirupati Laddu has got registered, or the Kashmir Pashmina shawl, that one has got registered, and that all comes under GI. So GI, basically, why is it called geographical indication? Because it is originating from a definite geographical territory, and it is used to identify some kind of an agricultural or natural or manufactured goods. The manufactured goods should be basically produced or processed or prepared in that territory, and generally it has some kind of a special quality or reputation or some other kind of characteristic, like which you've spoken about Darjeeling tea. So Darjeeling tea, because it originates from Darjeeling, it has got a GI over there, and even if you taste that tea, it has got a special kind of a quality, and that is being produced only because it is grown in that area, and that quality has come because it is produced in that area. So government has passed this act mainly to give protection to these kind of goods, and the registry is located in Chennai, and it is valid for 10 years, and it is renewable. It is same like trademark, and why is the registration of a GI is important? Because it helps in protecting the GI, and it does not, it prohibits the third party to use it. Now, if you take a look at it, there was a big clash between the US and India with regard to basmati rice, on where it is originated, because they had tried to get a patent over it and all. And so those kind of clashes we wanted to, because in India there are a lot of things which is manufactured over here, So to get that protection, which is to show that no, it is from our area, they have started giving these kind of certificate. It has been done since 1999. Initially, there was only few registration, and now it is becoming more. People are becoming more and more aware, and they are getting into this kind of registration. Now, who can apply for the registration? Any person, any association of person or producers or an organization or an authority which is established under the law can apply. The applicant, what is required is they should represent the interest of the producers. That's the requirement. So only those can apply for the registration. Now there are some registered GIs as an example, like I spoke about the Darjeeling tea. This is the Kanchipuram silk. This is the dolls, Channapatna dolls, which is from that area. And why should GI be protected? So it gives good reputation from the product. It differentiates from the generic product. It protects the domestic market from the competitor, and it also denotes the origin of the product. So that's why it is important. You know why GI is important first. It will tell you that it is from a particular area, and if I hear that it's Darjeeling tea, I'll know that it is got some kind of a reputation. This is the taste. It is from that area, and I like it, and it helps me from differentiating from other kind of a tea, like the red label tea or the Taj Mahal tea. So basically, we associate it with a particular kind of a, reputation, a particular kind of quality which it would have. Even with Kanchipuram silk, you know that this is a kind of silk which you get over there. Now, if everybody goes and tries to buy the Kanchipuram silk because they think that it has got a particular kind of a reputation or the quality of the silk will be really good. So these are some really important points. Now, there might be a confusion with how is GI different from trademarks. GI and trademarks are closely related because both of them indicate the product origin. So that is their major thing. They indicate who is the manufacturer, or they indicate to the brand. So it's almost the same, but there are two major difference. Trademarks is generally it belongs to a particular company or a sole proprietor, but GI is shared by all the producers in that particular region. Everybody who produces Darjeeling tea can own that GI. So it's like an association of people who kind of apply. And GIs are generally attached to a location. Trademarks are not attached to a location. It is not necessary that it requires that that particular trademark should come from a particular area. But GI is generally located from the location that it indicates. Okay, it's coming from Tamil Nadu, or is it coming from Andhra Pradesh, or is it coming from Maharashtra? So it helps in differentiating. So this is the main two difference between GI and trademarks. I'll not go too much into detail with the other aspects, but just to give you a brief idea. Next, there's something called traditional knowledge. And there's no traditional knowledge is something which has evolved or practiced over the years by the indigenous and local communities, and basically it's not documented anywhere. It is transmitted orally from generation to generation. There are some things which are documented, like the yoga poses and all. So we really don't have a specific act which protects traditional knowledge, but there are different kinds of ways where they are trying to protect the different kind of traditional knowledge. One of them is the traditional knowledge digital library, which has a database which has about this many formulation of traditional medicines which is used in Ayurveda or Siddha, Unani, yoga. So this has been it's kept in this digital library. And there's also something called the People's Biodiversity Register. So in this, they are keeping information about the availability and knowledge of the local biological resources, any kind of their medicinal or their use or any kind of traditional knowledge which is associated with them. This people diversity registers is associated with another kind of legal act, which is biological diversity act is there. So that is used for a different purpose. But even this registry gives, it documents these kind of knowledges. Now, another kind of industrial property is trade secret. So, trade secret is something which is known and a close knit of people, and it will be gently associated with some kind of an industrial or commercial activity. So, if it is disclosed to a competitor, it will cause real harm to them. For example, the Coca-Cola recipe is one of the trade secret which is known to a very few people, and they have protected with different kinds of their own methods, which is done by the company. Why it is protected is because the information has to be, it should not be available in the public domain, because if it goes and then the whole company which has that advantage over the other competitors, it will lose it. So trade secret anyways, it's not a legal kind of a protection. There's no particular kind of an act or any particular kind of certificate which is given over given over trade secret. But what they do is they kind of file a non-disclosure kind of an agreement to ensure that it is not disclosed. But if somebody is doing something by honest and fair means, by their own independent invention, or an accidental not accidental disclosure, will there will be some kind of this thing. But in case if it's from somewhere else, which is their honest way of getting that secret and doing it, it will not be protected under the trade secret. So trade secret is something which is not legally or regulated and legally protected. Another type of industrial property is confidential information. So confidential information can mean any kind of material. It can even mean your business related information or your research information, which you do not want to disclose to anybody, but only to a few party who's receiving it, only to them. So that is generally protected by establishing a relationship, like based on some kind of a contract, something called the non-disclosure agreement. You first sign a non-disclosure agreement between the two parties, between the disclosing party and the receiving party, and you say that this information which we are sharing between each other, it should be just used for that particular purpose, and it shouldn't be used for anything else, and it should not be disclosed to any other party. So confidential information can include anything related to your research, or anything related to your company's affairs, even your company's strategies, any kind of an information which is really important for the particular university or for the particular company. So many a time after all of you will graduate, and when you start working in a particular company, you will be asked to sign a non-disclosure agreement, which will come as part of your employment agreement, where they say that anything associated or anything which they're doing within the company, you should keep it within yourself, or you should use it only within the company, and you should not disclose to any third party. And if you do, they can take a legal action legal action against you. So that is something when you have to read when you sign, and generally everybody has to sign it, because it is basically a trust, a relationship between the two parties, be it an employer or employee, or be it two independent parties, or be it into universities. That's how a relationship is established. Next, this is the major important right It's called the patents. It is a type of industrial property where a lot of universities and a lot of industries are actively into. They are getting into a lot of development of new technology, new devices, pharmaceutical products, um, lot of inventions. So it is actually a statutory right which is given to an inventor for his invention. It can be a product or a new process. It is a territorial right. So even trademark is a territorial right. You have whatever registration which you get, it is applicable only in India if you're applying in India. To get protection in other countries, you will have to file applications in those countries. So and it is a negative right. Negative right, what I mean is, you are negating other people from using your particular invention. So that's what it means. And patents, it is protected under the Patents Act 1970, and the patent is valid for a period of 20 years. So generally, this is patents are a very important type of intellectual property, which is used as a huge asset in most companies and even universities now. And a lot of people are also involved in commercializing this particular kind of right to gain some kind of an income. So, and for that, you have to first seek protection. It has to be registered. So once that is done, in the other process go good. So who can file a patent application in India? You can either jointly alone, a person who's claiming to be the true and first inventor, or by any person who is the assignee of the inventor, or a legal representative of the deceased person. And this person can file. Generally, there are something called patent agents who file the application. So that's one of the career opportunities I'll be discussing on who files these kind of patent applications. And they play a very important role in the intellectual property industry in this field. So now, to give you a basic idea about what is patent, how can it be filed, just a brief on, so that it gives you an idea on how it goes about legally. So basic criteria about patentability is like the invention should be new. It should not be published anywhere or elsewhere, and it should not be used. Uh, it should not be used priorly for public use, or it should not have been displayed for public knowledge. So this is one of the criteria. Novelty. Novelty means it should be new. Next is it should have an inventive step. The invention should involve a technical advancement, or it should have some kind of an economic significance. And the invention should not be obvious to a person skilled in the art. If you just make an obvious change to a particular process or a device which is already existing, you cannot claim a patent over it. So there are a lot of criteria which is given by the Patents Act on what can be patentable and what cannot be patentable. Another criteria which requires to be satisfied is the industrial applicability. The invention should be made, capable of being made or used in any kind of industry. If there is no industrial applicability, this can be one of the grounds for rejecting their patent application as well. So any of these three grounds can be used for rejecting your application. So with regard to there's an exception with regard to the display in public exhibition or the paper presented before a learned society. So if you have published your paper in front of some kind of journal, so within 12 months your patent should be filed, because if it's not filed within this particular period, your own paper will act as a prior art for your own invention. So this is a kind of a grace period which is given in the act, and it is important to be followed, because You cannot disclose your invention prior and then try to file the patent. Even if you are doing that filing of the patent, it has to be done within the 12-month period. If it's done beyond that, your own publication will act as a prior art over it. So I was telling you that the Act gives you certain kinds of criterias of inventions that are not patentable under under this Act. So something which is contrary to natural law, it cannot be patented, which is something which is contrary to the public order or morality, some mere discovery of a scientific principle or abstract theory, mere discovery of a new form of a known substance, uh, substance obtained by a mere admixture. There is arrangement or rearrangement of some known devices, method of agriculture, horticulture, process of medicine or treatment of human beings, plants, animals, mathematical business model or computer programs, literary, dramatic, and musical artwork. This comes under copyright. It's not protected under the Patents Act. So this can get protection under the Copyright Act. And scheme or rule of performing any kind of mental act. Even method of presentation of information that is not protected. Traditional knowledge or aggregation of some kind of known properties. So this will come under traditional knowledge. I have told you how it is documented. It should be something which is documented under that library, or even if it's something related to the biological resource, it would be under the People's Biodiversity Register. There's one more exception. Any kind of inventions which is related to atomic energy is also not patentable, because this is something which the government will handle and they will be having control over it. And this atomic energy, if people are using it in a different way, which is against the public, so that's why they have kept this as a separate exception. There are exceptions to these kind of rules, which I would not get into, but there are some ways on how you can patent some kind of a particular this thing. So if any of you are interested, when you read the Act or read more about patents, you will get to know about it. So now we have an idea about the different kinds of intellectual property. So we dealt with copyright, we dealt with trademark, we dealt with patents, we dealt with trade secrets, traditional knowledge, and confidential information. So these are like the major kinds of intellectual property which is available. And the main thing which has a regulatory protection and which has a very strong protection is basically for two kinds of intellectual property, that is patents and trademarks. Copyright also has, but the copyright, they say it's not a very mandatory registration. Getting registration is good in case you have to go to a court of law to prove your ownership. It's always advisable to get the registration. And like I told you, with regard to trade secrets and confidential information, it is just protected through kind of a contract, an agreement between the parties who are involved. There is no any kind of a legal protection over it. So now I thought I'll just go into different kinds of IP career which is possible for all of you, which can be opted for. So there's something called, these are different levels of IP career in patents. So there are patent analysts. Patent analyst, basically, what do you require would be any science degree. It can be an BTech, MTech, or even PhD. And the skills which will be generally tested on is a prior art search. They do patent landscaping. There is FTO search. So these are different kinds of analytics which is involved in patents, because What do you mean by patent analytics is a lot of companies, before they get into some kind of research, that is one of the part. Another thing is if they want to get into some kind of filing of patent application. So generally before filing of patent application, you do a prior art search to make sure you do not have any other patent which is already filed, which does not meet those three criteria which I was talking about. That is the novelty, inventive step, and that industrial applicability. So we do a kind of a patent search and we give a report. And there's something called patent landscaping, which is important. This is done before the research level, which a lot of companies do it. And to search what are the, it can be done for various, what should I say, the various goal. So if one of the goal is to identify a particular area, what are the different kinds of patents which are available in this particular area or this niche area? What are the other competitors doing? So what can I do differently? So once you identify that, you can strategize your company's research in that way. So a lot of companies have patent analyst positions. Then there are a lot of service providers who do these kind of patent analytics. Next is patent agent. Patent agents are generally involved into the drafting of the patent application, which I was talking about. So what you basically require is a science degree, and you should have passed the patent agent exam, which is conducted by the government of India. They generally give a notification on whenever they conduct this exam. And for this exam, you basically need, they will test you on the act. You have to read the act. There are two papers. First will be a multiple choice question, and next one is a subjective type of a paper. So in that subjective paper, they ask you to some subjective questions related to the Patents Act, and even they ask you to draft certain applications. So there are some trainings which are given by few companies which you can join, or you can even self-learn and give a exam on it. And if you get the patent agent certificate, then you would be you would be eligible to apply for patent agent position. So that is one of career option which a lot of people can get into. And patent manager is just a level of position which a lot of companies offer, but they are generally given after you have some certain years of experience in these two fields. You have some patent analyst experience, you have some field in the analytics field, you have some experience in the prosecution drafting field, and then you have experience in valuation, licensing. So generally science degree, even a law degree helps. A law degree which I have done is a course on, it's an LLB with honors in intellectual property, which is offered by IIT Kharagpur. IIT Kharagpur generally takes only science graduates for this law course. It's a 3-year course. So it is, this course is generally in sync with the Bar Council. So they have a particular requirement that you should have completed this many credits for doing this, to register yourself as an advocate. So once you have a law degree, like I have, you can even practice in front of a court, a high court, or you can even practice in front of, now IPB is abolished, you can even practice in front of these patent offices, so wherever the application is getting registered. So this IP manager role is basically in companies as an in-house thing, and that generally comes as you get years of experience. It is not a separate option. And there may be another role which we see often is a patent portfolio manager, who manages all the portfolio assets or the IP assets belonging to a particular company. So these are some in-house roles which can be thought about if you have just a science degree. So, but if you have a degree of science and a law background, you can get into something like as an IP attorney or a patent attorney, or something which I'm doing, or I'm into trademark brand protectionist. So I deal with trademarks and I deal with anti-counterfeiting online. So that's all because of my science plus law degrees. But law degree helps us more in that. So this is one career option. So just to give you a brief about what can be the different companies or organizations, where IP would be involved. So with respect to companies, any company which has got an R&D thing, they have an R&D focus, they generally will have an IP department. So some of the companies in the pharma and biotech field is Biocon, you have GE Healthcare, you have Novartis, you have Cipla. So there are lot many other, there's Pfizer also. So they have both IP department even in India and even in their parent company, which is abroad. So these IP companies have, these companies have the IP department, and these IP department deals with these kind of, I told you, the work which they do. They are into these kind of skills. They have an analytics department. They will have a drafting and prosecution department. They'll have a valuation department. So valuation is to give you a brief idea on what valuation means. IP valuation is they gently weigh how much an IP is worth to a particular company. How, so that it helps in determining on how much it has to be commercialized, how much can it be done. They strategize. So that's like a strategizing team. So there's even a licensing team which is also involved. So why a science degree helps is, when you are getting into valuation, unless you know the technology, it is not very easy to valuate. Valuating can involve some mathematical methods, so there are multiple skills which is involved. There are some kind of special courses which can be done, and you can get yourself familiarized with it, and you can get yourself skilled in that field. But this is also another option, which there are a lot of departments which is just into IP valuation, and there is also a department within the companies which will be just into licensing and IP commercialization. So that's what I told with respect to companies. Even there are a lot of electronics and IT mechanical companies. TVS has their own IP department. Honda also has, Siemens has, ABB has, Samsung. There's some IT companies like Wipro also has. There's Infosys. So they all have separate IP departments which deal with their particular intellectual property for that company. Gently, a pharma company would prefer somebody with biotech background and some kind of a patent agent or a law degree. If you have to go into that level, this is the combination which they see. So they see at a combination of what is your technical background. So if you have a chemistry background, or if you have a pharma background, it would be more targeted towards the pharma companies. When it comes to the in-house, so there are also option of getting into law firms. So I've just named a few tier 1 firms. There are a lot of tier 2 and tier 3 firms. There are different levels. So each of these firms also have a patent or a IP related team, where they have analysts, they have lawyers. It's a mix. So they have a requirement for all that, because even while defending in the court, a team is required. So they are also, most of them do give have openings to graduates or MTech. They might be sometimes a requirement for a PhD degree, and they get into even law firms. So and assist the lawyers. or there are some people who finish their MTech and get the law degree and then they become attorneys in the particular IP field, patents field. So, and they get into court and they start defending. It's not necessary that once you're into the law firm, you think that you have to get into only court practice. There is also work related to contracts and things. Then in law, once you get into law, there are another ample set of opportunities. Some people get into only contracts, some people get into litigation where you have to practice in front of court, or some people just as an in-house counsel where they are advising a particular strategy. So there are different kinds of options which is available there also. Next set of companies which offers mainly analytics service, and even they also give drafting services. They are KPOs and LPOs. So just give you examples: CPA Global, eValueServe. There are many more. They also take a lot of people with science background for these two positions which I have been talking about. And there are even some government organizations, like example the patent offices. So patent offices which is situated in 4 places: Chennai, Delhi, Bombay has one, and Kolkata. So they take examiners for basically they are the ones who examine the patent applications which is filed by various companies and various individuals. So positions, there's a written exam for it which will be notified in the IP India website from time to time. And they have a particular they do give a syllabus on what and all they would be tested in. Obviously Patents Act is one of the things they'll be tested in, and they would be even tested technically. So generally how the examiners are appointed is basically based on your technological degree. So if you have like a chemical degree, they would put you in the chemical department for examining the chemical applications which come into various companies. And so that's also one of the career options which can be thought about. Then there are CSIR laboratories where they are also in, they also have some patent analysts and researchers who help in research thing, and they have openings there as well. Fiki also gives some opening with related to I wouldn't say patent, but they are more into teaching and things like that. They have few other departments which you can look into that options as well, what is their requirement. And these are the various options which is there in the IP field. And as I spoke a little bit more on patents because that's where your science background, and in case you would like to pursue law, it would help. But once you take up law, even the other fields of IP would be open, like your copyright and your trademark and your trade secrets. You can get into licensing. So a lot of us, we have done techno legal background. So I am right now working with company which is involved in brand protection. A few of my friends are there in law firms. They are dealing at various levels. Some are into litigation, some are into just prosecution and drafting of patent application, and some are into trademark. And there are a few of them who are as in-house counsels in the companies. So that's also another option which you can definitely think of. So that's it for my presentation. So in case you have some questions, I would be happy to answer.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. This topic is quite new for our students, and you have explained is in a better way. So we'll move toward the question answer session. So I request Ms. Divya Chena to start with the question answer session.
Thank you, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay. That was a very informative session, ma'am. We have a lot of questions from our students. So the first question is, suppose if a student is planning to file a patent of a research work, how much would it cost?
How much would it cost for filing?
Yes, filing a patent.
Okay, fine. So gently, if you have to, a student files, it is filed in the name of the university where the student has done the research. So even when it is done by an employee of a company, it is filed in the name of your employer, because you have created that particular invention in that particular area. So whatever you have created, it gets assigned to your employer or university. As an inventor, you would be definitely having the name in the invention. So the official charges, it is there on the IP India site. It is about 9,000 to 10,000. That's the official fees. But there would be some kind of fees which is involved uh, by the patent agents who provide that service, or the lawyers who provide that service to write it. So that fees also will be there. And as you go there are different stages of a patent application, which there would be different fees which would be involved. There will be fees which will be involved once it is registered. So that would be an amount. I'm not able to tell you out of the thing about with respect to fees, but it is all there in the IP India website. You can just take a look at it. If you go to that website and just say forms and fees, they have given you the official fees. That is the official fees for filing the application. For writing it, and patent writing is, it has to be written in a particular way. So generally you get help from a patent agent for doing it. So that even the patent agent might charge you a fees. So that would differ from who's providing the service, and also it will depend on how complicated that invention is.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. The second question is, teachers and students, they make use of lot of Google content or images for educational purposes. Is there a possibility that they can fall under the IP law?
Yeah, like I said, for teachers and students, if it is used and for research purpose, it is generally not uh, coming under any kind of an infringement, or you are not, getting into anybody's else rights. So under copyright, there is a fair use provision. It is there. For teaching purposes, it's always exempted. But obviously, you have to tell that it is from this, from a particular author. So when you write your research paper, make sure you are giving your footnotes, or you're giving an indication from where you are taking it, and try not to copy the whole thing word by word. You have to write it by yourself. So that's why I think you will have a lot of plagiarism software, and I'm sure even your university would be also very particular about it. So not to just copy it just like that, just to be sure that you are not doing. But for teaching purpose, it's always exempted.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Now the next question is, can you tell us a few names of universities that provide degrees related to this intellectual property rights?
Okay, fine. So like I said, IIT Kharagpur offers you a full-time 3-year course. Okay. Then there is intellectual property rights with related to the law degree. It's a 3-year course. Now there are some people who give a diploma course as well. So National Law School Bangalore, they have a diploma course in intellectual property, and even Symbiosis Law School also gives you a diploma course. And there are some other few law schools which are giving diploma degrees, which you can take a look. There is Symbiosis is there. There's Nalsar also. Nalsar also gives a diploma course. So if you're just looking for a short-term course, you can always take a diploma course, which goes on for 6 months to 1 year. But if you're thinking of a full-fledged law degree, because if you take a law degree, you can even, like I said, you can go and practice, you can get yourself certified under the Bar Council. So for that, you need to do a proper 3-year degree. So even there are few law schools which gives you that. Like in Karnataka, there is an open university which you can do it part-time as well. So it'll be a 3-year course, but you can do it while you're doing a job, and in pursue your law as well. So that's also a possibility.
Thank you, ma'am. Another question we have is, if there is an infringement of a copyright or say a patent, whom should an individual approach? Like which government body can they approach?
Okay. Infringement, see, you can always file a complaint with the court, district court, or you can file a complaint with the um, patent office level as well. You can go there and also file a suit and stuff, but actually the whole procedure starts with the um, district court level. So that's where the infringement things are. So I would give you the advice only after looking at what kind of an infringement it is and what kind of protection it has, and then I would give the advice. So generally you approach a particular lawyer to get the right advice on where you can file it, because when it comes to jurisdiction, it also includes the place of business where it has to be filed. So a lot of nitty-gritties have to be seen. So it will all depend on what are your where it is getting infringed, or where is the main business running, and which place you need to file, because there are different offices as well. So yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Another question we have is, do patent owners have to do anything to maintain patent protection?
Maintain patent protection. Okay. So they have to obviously file the application, get the registration certificate. Once they get the certificate, they will have to maintain it for a period of 20 years. So there's a fees involved. Okay. Each year, you can file it, you can give it for 20 years together, or you can break it and give it. So all those fees is given in the IP India website. And it's also best to ensure that nobody else is infringing your patent. You have already a protection. You have to monitor and see if somebody else is actually using your patent, or is using it without your permission, so that you can take a legal action into it. So these are all effort which a particular company or an individual requires to take. But with regard to how long your registration certificate will be valid, it will be for a period of 20 years, and you have to maintain it with a particular kind of a fees which you need to submit with the patent office.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. The last question that we have is, apart from patents, what are the other ways to protect innovative ideas or processes?
Apart from patents, okay, fine. Patents is the strongest protection, which would be the first route which you need require to see. Now, in case you cannot patent it, like I told you, with respect to the exceptions which is given, one of the idea would be keeping it as a trade secret, but that's not a legal formal protection, and there are a lot of issues, like there is always a possibility that somebody can reverse engineer it, and you won't be able to take a legal action over it. So that is one of the ways. Another way is to, if you have a technology and you can implement a non-disclosure agreement, and say that you cannot disclose it, and give some certain kind of clauses, like what will happen if they disclose it, will there be some kind of an action, or there'll be some kind of a legal suit. So all those kind of agreement can be signed between the two companies. It will all be decided based on I would say, based on how strong is the technology and how well it requires to be protected. So these are all strategies, which is generally it's always best to approach a lawyer pose into this field to help you out on determining which would be the best strategy to be used.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for answering all the questions patiently and elaborately. Now, there are few instructions before we move ahead. The feedback for the today's session, as well as the overall feedback for 6 days national symposium, will be posted on the Telegram group. All the participants are requested to please fill both the feedbacks today by 7 p.m. Now we move on to the next session. I would request Dr. Prajakta Sarang to propose vote of thanks.
Thank you, Divya. It's my pleasure to propose vote of thanks on behalf of the organizing committee of this national symposium. We are truly thankful to our management, Shri Vileparle Kelvani Mandal, for taking an initiative to encourage us to organize such events. We could reach out to the participants of different parts of Bombay, Maharashtra, or India even during this pandemic because of the MS platform which was made available to us by the management. We are truly thankful to our management for all the support that they rendered to organize this event. We acknowledge the guidance, support, and encouragement given by our in charge principal, Dr. Kritika Desai, Vice Principal Science Stream, Dr. Minakshi Vaidya, and RUSA Nodal Officer, Dr. Nupur Mehrotra, in organization of this event. Under their leadership, we are striving to achieve the motto of our organization, higher and still higher. We are truly thankful to all of them. This event was in part association with Indian Women Scientist Association, IFSA. Dr. Shamla Bharadwaj, a representative of IFSA, worked with us relentlessly to organize the sessions of Dr. Kondekar and Ms. Ankita. Today, Dr. Rita Mukhopadhyay, President of IFSA, interacted and shared information about different activities of IFSA with our participants. Organizing committee is truly thankful to IFSA for helping us to organize these two sessions in interest of student aspirants. We are indebted to our resource persons, Professor Dr. Ghule, Professor Dr. Sunoj, Professor Dr. Ladage, Professor Dr. Kondekar, Professor Dr. Polshettivar, and Ms. Ankita, who despite of their busy schedules took out their precious time and shared valuable information with students as well as teachers. Guidance offered by them will certainly inspire and motivate those student aspirants who are willing to achieve a respectable and lucrative career. This event wouldn't have happened without the involvement of faculty members of chemistry department and our undergraduate student volunteers. Because of the combined efforts of Michibai chemistry team, this event became a reality. Thanks are due to each and every member of this chemistry team. Thanks are also due to RUSA for all the financial aid that we received. Because of this financial aid only, we could organize this symposium. Last, but definitely not the least, all our participants, without whom this event wouldn't have happened. I graciously thank all our participants for participating in this national symposium. With this, I end my vote of thanks. Back to you, Ms. Divya.
Thank you, Dr. Sarang. Now I would request everyone to stand for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
I once again thank all the speakers and participants and my dear colleagues for attending today's session. We now end the session. Thank you, everyone.